A hurricane watch now in effect for Bermuda as the dance of two storms in the western Atlantic continues to cause impacts. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather. Great to see you on this Monday. I hope you're doing well. Appreciate all those who joined me for the live coverage of Tropical Storm Imelda in the Bahamas yesterday. I've got all the newest information on Imelda and Humberto as Imelda is expected to strengthen and head quickly east towards Bermuda. We'll talk about that and the impacts it has brought over the past couple of days to the Bahamas. Let's get started. Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys offering free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through the insurance claim process. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you guys would like more information. Of course, I'm going to have the entire Caribbean forecast for you guys, your island by island rainfall forecast. Let me know in the comments section below what's been happening in your area. Obviously, if you've been impacted by these storms, our thoughts are with you guys. Let us know how things are on this Monday. We are going to start with Imelda. Imelda has continued to just strengthen throughout late Sunday and into this Monday. Winds are now up to 65 miles an hour. Imelda is likely to become a hurricane by tomorrow, but a couple of pieces of good news. First, it is finally beginning to move away from the northern Bahamas. Now, as of the 5 o'clock advisory, the only tropical storm warnings actually left right now are going to be for Grand Bahama and the Abacos. And even then, I do expect the potential for sustained tropical storm conditions to continue to fall by the wayside the deeper into this Monday that we go, but there have been significant impacts left behind, and it is starting to slightly turn to the east. The movement is still due north, but that north-northeast turn is likely late this evening and overnight and into Tuesday, and that will pull it away from the Florida and the United States East Coast. Then we'll talk about the track from that coming up in just a second. Let me show you guys the radar here of what's been happening, because yes, we've had some wind impacts, and again, it's been sporadic, and if you've had any wind damage or know of anything, let me know. But one of the biggest issues with Imelda in the central and the northern Bahamas has been the inundation of rain. We've had 4 to 8 inches and locally higher in some spots. It's left some flooding behind in portions of the northern side of the Bahamas, and we continue to get lashed even on the back end of this. There's not a lot of moisture behind the tail end of Imelda, but we're still getting some brisk winds. We've had 30-plus mile-an-hour winds today in New Providence, San Salvador, and Andros. In the more persistent near tropical storm conditions, especially over the Abacos, Imelda went right over the Abaco Islands earlier today, and even along the east coast of Florida, although we are not seeing sustained tropical storm conditions. These are wind gusts in miles an hour right now, which are very fresh. No lightning, just some quick squally weather, 25 to 30 mile-an-hour winds. No flood issues here in Florida because the showers are moving so quickly. This is a live look outside to Long Island. You guys know we have our live cameras here at Meteo Mundo. This camera is back online after Long Island lost power late yesterday. And again, the calm behind the storm for you here is still a bit of a breeze, but we're already beginning to dry out the air a little bit. But let's talk about the problems. You guys did a fantastic job sending me in pictures and videos, and I really appreciate that. This is from Carolee Duncombe earlier today in Marsh Harbor. And again, we've had some coastal flooding. We had a storm surge in the Abacos and portions of Grand Bahama, 1 to 3 feet. So we've had some inundation in water, and you can just see the overcast skies in the churned up sea conditions, especially during high tide near the coast. Appreciate Carolee sending me in that video. This is a video from last night from McCranie in the Nassau, Bahamas area. That's New Providence. Again, sheets of rain. They had 40 to 50 mile-an-hour sustained winds from time to time over New Providence with locally higher gusts, and just these squalls which continue to move through, and the accumulation, all of the rain over the last 24 hours has caused some significant issues. He sent me in this photo today from Nassau, and friends, look at the street flooding, the urban flooding going on right now. I mean, this is feet of water on this roadway at this point in time. So significant flooding, homes, roads, businesses in New Providence Island today. And then Weather Alert sent me these in again. And well, this is from the Adelaide area there on New Providence. And again, you can clearly see how high the water has gone. Unfortunately, these cars are completely underwater, at least half of them, meaning that, you know, they're going to be beyond repair for the most part there. And then this shot, again, gentlemen standing in basically waist high water. You can even see some of the oil and the gas that have leaked out of some of the cars here on a, you know, urban street. So big problems there. New Providence, our thoughts are with you guys with that significant flooding that occurred as Imelda moved through the area. Again, the rain is beginning to abate itself. There's still some heavier showers over portions of far northern sides of Little Abaco and Walker's Key, but we're beginning to see that come to an end. So we'll still get some gusting conditions in the northern and central Bahamas late on this Monday, but conditions overall are going to begin to improve. Now, again, I mentioned this yesterday, the moisture field with Imelda is several hundred miles north, which is also interacting with our trough. And so we've had some significant rain in portions of the Carolinas. This is an area that could still get some localized flooding from Wilmington down towards the Charleston area, even though Imelda is still several hundred miles away. The big impact that Humberto brought to Imelda, when I bring on these local winds here, these are going to be your surface winds. Again, Humberto, Cat 4 hurricane, large wind field, counterclockwise around the storm, basically put the brakes on the winds trying to drive the storm north into the Carolinas. So now you have these winds that have gone slack or even out of the northeast. Imelda can't go any farther to the north, and now it's going to start to get tugged a little bit by Humberto. Now, they're still far enough away from each other, about 350 miles from the east side of Imelda to the west side of Humberto, where it's some, but not significant interaction, at least as of yet, where Humberto, again, is a powerful Category 4 hurricane. That track is likely to stay several hundred miles west of Bermuda. But the problem is, you know, we're going to get some potential tropical storm conditions in Bermuda from Humberto, but the problem is actually going to be Imelda. Imelda is likely to strengthen, becoming a Category 1, if not even a Category 2 hurricane as it gets close to Bermuda. So you have a Cat 1, Imelda here, you have a Cat 2 with winds of 100 miles an hour sustained, and you have our centerline track potentially near Bermuda. Now again, there's going to be some wiggle room with this, but we have a hurricane watch in effect for Bermuda with the potential impacts from Imelda coming as early as late Wednesday and into Thursday. I'll highlight much more on that coming up here in just a second. But there is going to be a bit of an interaction in the sense of that Humberto should start to tug on Imelda a little bit, and then westerlies will begin to pick up in the southeast United States and accelerate Imelda through the Atlantic Basin off towards Bermuda over the next 48 hours or so. So let me show you guys the models associated with this, because I want to make sure I cover this. The other big factor is, you know, Imelda is likely to accelerate, and I want you guys to notice these wind fields. Do you see how they just continue to expand and expand and expand? So, and I know it's a kind of a sloppy thing for you guys to see here, but regardless of whether the storm moves 50 miles north of Bermuda or 50 miles south of Bermuda, we're likely to get sustained tropical storm conditions and probably high-end tropical storm conditions over Bermuda. That's almost a guarantee. The question is, do we get the hurricane conditions to move over the island? Hopefully that's not the case, but Imelda's wind field should be several hundred miles wide with tropical storm force winds as it passes near Bermuda later in the week. So let's break that down for you guys. I'm going to bring up the model here. Loop this up. We'll also look at the winds. Now, we'll look at all the other different models as well with the tracks of these storms, and there's some very interesting scenarios here. But the most likely case is that we're going to see Humberto move off towards the west and then curl to the north of Bermuda. And then it's just exactly how close we get what's to be Imelda to move through. Now, the GFS model is a little bit sloppier overall with the system, but does have a fairly direct path over Bermuda as we get into Wednesday. So this is your Wednesday morning into Wednesday late afternoon and evening, and then overnight into Thursday. So likely here, the GFS, we're going to have a direct impact from whatever strength Imelda is going to be at that time frame over Bermuda. For anyone thinking that there might be a little bit of play in the models, let me show you guys the spaghetti plots out of this. And again, you're always going to have one or two rogue ones here, but look how the extreme majority of your tropical models models are within that cone of uncertainty, and again, driving it somewhere 50 miles north or south of the island of Bermuda and accelerating. Could be moving very quickly as it sweeps through. Sure, that's not going to bring a lot of rain to the area because it's moving so quickly, but that expands that wind field where tropical storm conditions are likely, and probably some gale conditions as well. All right, let me show you guys what it looks like on the sustained winds. So I'm going to loop this up. This will be a little bit easier to see where the actual centers are. Now, could there be a bit of a little dance here with the southwest side of Humberto and the northeast side of Imelda? It's a possibility. We're not going to have what we call, or we shouldn't have what we call the true Fujiwara effect, where these storms are actually going to spin around each other in an elliptical fashion. But there's that tug, and there's a little bit in the way that Imelda kind of gets pulled in, and potentially it begins to impact the northeast side of the storm just a little bit here, because now all of the winds that are trying to go kind of clockwise are kind of getting pulled back into Humberto. So there's a disruption overall that could limit potentially the intensity of Imelda to begin with here. We'll see how that plays out, but quick acceleration from Imelda. And again, as we get into early on Thursday morning, we take a look at that. So here comes Humberto coming through. Let me stop it back here to Thursday. This is going to be late Wednesday night. So these are sustained winds, which are more high-end tropical storm than anything, but they do uptick just a little bit on this GFS model right as they get towards Bermuda. And these are sustained hurricane force winds near the island late Wednesday night. That would be 2 a.m. on Thursday. That's what the GFS model shows. European deterministic. Again, powerful major category 4 hurricane Humberto spinning around, keeping the hurricane force conditions away from Bermuda. None of the models are trying to bring this back towards the Carolinas at this point in time. But again, really rough surf and sea conditions. You start to see Imelda really begin to increase in forward speed and strength again as we get into late Wednesday evening and early on Thursday. And this track is on the south side of Bermuda, but very close to the island. The European AI model is very close to that. Again, nice slow loop so you guys can see. Still a major hurricane just west, about 300 miles, with Humberto turning up to the north and to the east and beginning to accelerate away, but also tugging on Imelda. And again, the steering currents aren't going to allow this to go into the U.S. East Coast. All the models pull it quickly offshore. And now it's about how close to Bermuda it gets late Wednesday and on Thursday. Again, likely to be at least a Category 1 hurricane. You want a Fujiwara effect, you want the dance, you got it on the HAFS-A model. I don't believe this is going to be the case, but what the HAFS-A has is Humberto much slower, Imelda accelerating quickly and actually getting absorbed by Humberto, so you don't have the spin where both storms still hold on. You have Imelda getting absorbed by Humberto and pulling away. Just want to show you that. Both the HAFS-A and the HAFS-B show that. It's the only models that do at this point in time, but you know, could there be something squirrely that still happens? I think it's a non-zero chance, but it's very low, right? We're likely to see Humberto to be far enough north and east from Imelda where we're not going to have these storms coalesce to the northwest of Bermuda. But just to show you guys that, again, you know, there are some variabilities in the models. One thing that's not very variable is the tracks here on the GFS ensemble. They are in tight agreement, all 50 ensembles. Again, closest approach to Florida and the United States East Coast right now, and then pulling away late this evening throughout the rest of the week. And the European models are the same. A couple trickle farther north, closer to the Canadian coastline, but there is a wide breadth here off of the coastline of Canada, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, even Greenland areas, deep into the afternoon hours of Thursday. Should be far enough away. Now, one thing that is going to be a very widespread impact will continue to be the surf and sea conditions and the swells, which are still going to be outrageously high the next several days across the entire Western Atlantic basin. Again, you are looking at significant wave heights that are 18, 20 plus feet in some areas. Long period swells, breakers along the Florida coastline right now that are 6, 8, even 10 feet. But these swells coming back into the eastern side of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and all up the U.S. East Coast. So rough surf and sea conditions, rough boating conditions, obviously getting in the water, not ideal for days and days to come. Friends, as we move on to the rest of the forecast, I appreciate you guys, first of all, joining me yesterday and all the support. Thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if you haven't as of yet. You want these tropical updates and your daily forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, you have found your home. Thanks for sharing this channel with your family and friends, and appreciate all of our new members. We picked up several new members from yesterday's live stream. Thank you for joining the membership community here at Meteo Mundo. All right, so now I want to get into the rest of our forecast. I'm going to take my quick sip of my diet green tea, and we'll move on. There were other areas impacted by significant flooding rains out of Imelda, and that was portions of southeast sides of Cuba, Jamaica, and portions of the Dominican Republic. That rain is beginning to fade some, but there are still some areas of moisture-laden air sitting right over portions of those islands. So just to show you guys that, and I'm going to bring back on our lightning data for you guys as well. So thunderstorms are beginning to redevelop over portions of Jamaica at the hour. They're not as widespread as they have been, but there are some locally heavy downpours. We've had a couple of showers on the northwest side of the island towards Montego Bay and Falmouth. We've had a couple of showers moving back into the eastern coastal areas. So you're talking about Portland and St. Thomas parishes. We've had some extra clouds and a couple of showers passing on through. We've had nice, significant thunderstorm activity with still some very gusty winds in the southeast sides of Cuba. Again, it's drier air overall for the southeast Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, but it doesn't mean we're completely dry. My iguana with some thunderstorms for today. It is a quieter afternoon for the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Now, this is good news in the sense of that we have been extremely wet and we've had some flood issues across the island the last several days. Well, now it's about the heat. Again, easily temperatures inland have been reaching the low of the mid-90s Fahrenheit. So you're looking at 33, 34 degrees plus Celsius, and then feels like temperatures on the island are 105 to 110. So there's some excessive heat. We've had some of that excessive heat over Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands from time to time as well. Again, it's been a little bit quieter forecast here. We're far enough away from Humberto. We're far enough away from Imelda. We haven't had a lot of local showers. We're bringing in some long period swells to the northern coastline of those islands, in the Leeward Islands as well. So boating conditions still aren't fantastic there, but the moisture content is a little bit lower. Now, you can clearly see, if I show you guys the visible satellite imagery, the streets of our clouds, even though there's not a lot of lift in the atmosphere, is still being tugged into the south side of Humberto. That is the expanse that this major hurricane has and the influence here. There is this kind of trough that's just feeding back into the south side of Humberto. So it's an exceptional storm, just like Aaron. Absolutely happy we're talking about a major hurricane that has no direct hurricane impacts to land, and only Bermuda might get brushed with some tropical storm conditions. We're starting to flare up a couple of showers and thunderstorms in the Windward Islands for today, but it's been nice and quiet, relatively speaking, north, Anguilla, Barbuda, Antigua, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Saba, St. Eustatius. Again, love all my friends here in the Lesser Antilles, and I hope you're doing well. Guadalupe, Dominica. If you had a passing shower today, let me know in the comments section below, but many dry hours and locations here. We are billowing up a couple of storms, Port-au-Prince towards the northwest sides of Trinidad, trying to get a couple of showers toward Tobago and maybe even sneaking towards Grenada, but mainly just some passing showers. Again, same opportunity for my friends in the Grenadines for today, from Beckway down towards Carriacou and Union Island. We could catch a brisk, fast-moving shower there. Not a lot. Let's check out the winds, if we've had any gusts that have been significant. There's been a 30-mile-an-hour wind in Grenada for today, so just a little bit more active tropical moisture down in the Windward Islands. Now, you get north towards St. Lucia. It's another beautiful afternoon here. Live look outside to Corinth, St. Lucia. Again, fantastic shot there on the west side of the island. Very still winds there, and again, just a little bit south of where we've had a little bit more moisture. Couple of showers are possible in the ABC Islands over the next couple of days. You can see that little brief shower that tried to roll over Curacao earlier. If I throw on the visible satellite imagery here, and again, we have a little bit of low-level clouds, a little bit of smoke actually coming out the island, but that's that little thunderstorm there. Now, otherwise, what a beautiful late afternoon here on this Monday. Aranya, Aruba, Eagle Beach area. Again, the sun glistening off the coastal waters. There hasn't been as much breeze in this area for today. It's hot though. Temperatures today have been 33, 34 degrees Celsius in a lot of locations. Moving on to our areas off towards the west, we continue to see some heavier showers and storms over portions of Panama and Costa Rica near our monsoon trough. These showers are lifting north today across Nicaragua. The eastern sides of Honduras are going to try and make a run towards the islands here, the Bay Islands, Guanaja, Roatan, and Utila. Maybe a few showers towards La Ceiba a little bit later in the day. It has been a quieter day overall for our friends in Belize. Just a couple of inland showers here. Temperatures today have been around 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 degrees Celsius. Steamy in a lot of locations. The humidity is up a bit as well. And localized showers and storms over the Yucatan. These aren't very organized right now, but where they're getting going, they're producing some very heavy rain and copious amounts of lightning. Again, watch the lightning strike count starting around noon today go from nothing to about 90 lightning strikes in just the past 15 minutes in this area. Okay, so let's get into your forecast. It's going to look like this. I'm going to break it down for you guys. And then we're going to go island by island as I gave you a quick little preview of that. So let me bring this up and talk about things. The first thing is, actually, hang on a second. Put the brakes on. Let me put the brakes on real fast. If you've noticed, I haven't talked about anything else tropically, okay? We have a disturbance here. We have a mid-level low here. Now again, we see waves coming off the West African coast about every 3 days this time of the year. We always have to watch them. Remember, Imelda didn't develop until it was a couple of 100 miles east of the Leeward Islands. This is a very disorganized area of showers and storms, which will, by Thursday, elevate the rain chances again in the Eastern Caribbean. And I'll highlight that coming up in just a second. But it's broad, it's disorganized. A little bit more significant wave is just emerging off the West African coast. At this point in time, the Hurricane Center has no development area for the eastern sides of the Atlantic Basin, the Caribbean, the Gulf, the Western Atlantic Basin. It is all quiet outside of Imelda and Humberto. So at least in the coming 5 days, I'm not expecting there to be tropical development, but it will be the Atlantic Basin to be monitoring for the next opportunity. Okay. That is said, let's get into the forecast. So again, our broad, sloppy area here, if nothing else, is going to throw some moisture coming in with the easterly trades, and shower chances should begin to improve again from Anguilla and Antigua and Barbuda, St. Martin, St. Barts, Saba, St. Kitts and Nevis, Statia, Montserrat, Antigua, Guadeloupe, from about a 30 to a 40% chance tomorrow up to a 50 to 60% chance by Thursday. Just more moisture overall, better showers, still nothing organized, still fast moving, but you could get a little bit more of a higher chance to catch a shower or two there. Guadeloupe, Dominica in that situation. Now we get a little bit farther south. We've had better rain today, but overall I expect a lot of that moisture to move north of areas from St. Lucia north, so lower chances for St. Lucia and Barbados, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada and T&T. Suriname and Guyana will stay with moderate rain chances, a couple of passing showers in Nueva Esparta. I'm optimistic that we might get a few showers here in the ABC Islands over the next couple of days. This could be overnight or morning showers, and maybe one or two redeveloping in the afternoon, but don't be shocked if you live in the ABC Islands if you get a little bit of this rain again in the evening hour. So kind of just to give you an idea here, you know, this is going to be Wednesday, and you can see some of the showers in the evening and potentially overnight into early on Thursday morning as an idea of the fact that it may not be coming during the afternoon hours, but you might wake up to a couple of showers, and I hope so, because you guys have still been very dry. Better rain chances, southern sides of Central America, slightly improving chances over the rest of Central America as well. It'll be fairly spotty for Honduras and Guatemala and Belize and the Yucatan the next couple of days, but by Thursday, I think our storm chances get a little bit higher. Nothing appreciably high, but just a little bit more better quality of moisture in play to provide some better showers and storms. We'll be fairly dry for my friends in the Cayman Islands. A couple of passing showers is not out of the question. Still going to see some localized showers and storms developing each and every day for my friends in Jamaica. Going to be favoring the southern sides of the island the next couple of days. The western sides will pick up a better thunderstorm chance as well a little bit later into the period. And again, some locally heavy downpours. But yesterday we had flash flood warnings in the southern parishes, so it shows you that, you know, we don't need a lot of rain in a lot of other locations. There's still spots that could use some additional showers, but luckily in this forecast here, it's been a little bit quieter over the next few days. Rain will still continue for portions of Cuba. Again, a little bit drier overall the next day or two for the Dominican Republic and Haiti, but improving rain chances in these areas later into the week as well. It's about the same scenario with some passing showers for Puerto Rico. In the Virgin Islands, again, we want some rain in these areas to undercut the heat values in the afternoon, because if you don't get the rain by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a very high-end chance that it feels like 105 to 110 Fahrenheit outside, and that is no bueno. Still relatively quiet behind Imelda for the Bahamas. Again, a couple of showers are still possible as Imelda begins to wrap up, but we'll still see some of that in the northern Bahamas the next day or so, but kind of squally showers with some locally heavy downpours, but nothing widespread. It's more about there being some fresh breeze through Tuesday in this area and then beginning to quiet out. And as I've already mentioned, the coastal areas of the Carolinas here in the United States could even get up to 4 inches of rain, despite the fact that Imelda is hundreds of miles to the south. So this is what it looks like for you guys, island by island. Again, drying out, which is what we need in the Bahamas after all the rain, especially in the northern and northwest Bahamas in the coming days. Turks and Caicos, scattered to isolated showers, but still many dry hours and locations. Decent chances for rain in Cuba, just isolated showers in the Cayman Islands. Relatively dry the next couple days, Belize and Cancun. Again, there'll be some storms, but not a lot as far as coverage goes, beginning to improve on Thursday. Same situation over Jamaica, just 30% chance tomorrow, Wednesday, up to 40 on Thursday. Rain chances will again be not horrible in the Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic the next couple days, but should be higher overall on Thursday. Scattered showers, Virgin Islands tomorrow, 60% chance on Thursday. Again, that's that next disturbance coming in from the Atlantic Basin. Bermuda's rain chances obviously predicated by Humberto moving west of you, but still elevated rain chances through Wednesday morning, and then how close Imelda gets late Wednesday and into Thursday, but obviously high rain chances, but that's not the biggest concern. The biggest concern is going to be the potential wind impacts on the island. Again, there is a hurricane watch. Anguilla building rain chances, same thing for St. Kitts and Nevis, and you'll see this through the Lesser Antilles with more isolated showers, especially tomorrow. Slightly better through most islands on Wednesday, but much higher, especially for the northern half of the Lesser Antilles on Thursday. 70% Antigua, Barbuda, 60 Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique in at 50, and then lower chances overall St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Grenada. 40% chance for showers across the board in T&T. Suriname and Guyana stay with 40 to a 60% chance, and a few spotty showers Nueva Esparta. And again, still have a couple of shower chances in for the ABC Islands, some of that during the evening and the overnight hours. Thankfully, Imelda is accelerating because, again, the rainfall in the Bahamas was no joke, 4 to 8 inches, locally up to 10. Shouldn't be a problem through Bermuda because, again, we are seeing some quick forward speeds out of Imelda by then. Still could pick up some heavier rain on the western side of Central America here. Overall, again, places like Cuba, eventually the Yucatan, portions of Hispaniola, and still some heavier showers from time to time across the Bahamas will promote the highest rain totals over the next couple of days. But keeping the storms offshore means the best and highest rain totals will stay offshore as well. Friends, I do appreciate you guys. Thanks for following us across all of our social media platforms. We are on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook, as all of my friends have done lately. If you would like to send me a picture and video to help tell the weather story in your area, the simplest way to do that is going to be mymeteomundo@gmail.com. As I've said, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. While you're down there, thanks for taking a quick second and liking and subscribing to the channel. Come join our fantastic community. And please remember that Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the lead law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover the entire state. You get wind, hail, hurricane damage, even a burst pipe. They'll walk you through the insurance claim process. It's leanomnilaw.com for more information. Friends, have a great rest of your day. Hurricane watch for Bermuda. I'm keeping a close eye on it. I'm back tomorrow with the latest forecast right here at Meteo Mundo.